Welcome back, everyone, to the Digital Signage Today podcast. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. I'm the editor of Digital Signage Today. And today I'll be speaking with Wes Fagan. He is the Chief Experience Officer at Coates Group, and we'll be talking about digital signage disruptors in the market and how that's going to affect the market going forward. So anyway, Wes, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Bradley. Pretty good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So getting right into it, what do you see as some of the big trends right now in the digital signage / interactive experiences market?
I guess the trends and the insights and the things that we're seeing in the market at the moment have probably really captured it around the adoption of how technology has been integrated into the modern day interactions, and also then the end customer experiences. From the research that we've done at Coates Group, we have an incubator team, and that incubator team basically does deep research into new and emerging trends, both in category and out of category. And what we've really seen come to the fore is probably four categories that we're really focusing in on. The first one we've wrapped up under the title of seamless experiences. So this is really about when digital dexterity and effortless kind of personalization comes to the fore. And it's really about how brands are going to onboard better through an omni-channel, or potentially look at how tech enhancements in their drive-through or QSR stores or restaurant design, how that's going to be inspirational and really change the kind of experience so that it's seamless. The second topic that we've discovered, and we're seeing a lot, obviously, with the post-pandemic pieces and some of the things that are moving around in the marketplace, is really about the evolution of the footprint. So in this topic, we're really thinking about how the likes of curbside and click and collect and any non-contact initiatives, obviously with safety in mind, can come into the customer purchasing journey. And then as we extend that out, how is the traditional boundaries of the store footprints going to change? So we have areas now where we're seeing less foot traffic in restaurant. So is there a way where we could potentially relook at the in-store trends? And then I guess as there's less people commuting, what's the onus on the car park, and how's the car park going to evolve over time? The third option, I guess the third trend that we've seen come out is immersive interactions. And this is more around how technology and the interface that we're using, as you know, Bradley, like everyone's heads are kind of buried in screens these days. So it's really about how could the interface change the way that we interact with things, and how can NFC and 5G and so forth accelerate interaction touch points. And then lastly, then it'd be remiss of us to not think about the disruption that's happening then around the operations of everything. So as we spoke about previously there, contactless is changing and fueling new services. So how are the models of operations changing? What's the focus shift changing around automation versus staffless? And what type of thing is at play when we say IoT and so forth coming into the kitchen and sensors and so forth. So they're the key kind of trends we're seeing right now and expect to kind of grow. But as with any trend, it takes a level of adoption before things get sticky, and we're probably 24 to 36 months away from things getting sticky, I'd say.
Gotcha. So that gives us a lot of good information. But with that in mind, what do you see as some of the big disruptors in this field right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest disruption we've had is, and again, it would be remiss of me to mention the pandemic, because the pandemic has driven so many conversations and I guess products and disruptors in our field in general. Where drive-through was the goal of drive-through was speed and service. Drive-through is now being viewed as safety and service. So speed is still a very, very critical part of it, but it offers consumers an opportunity with drive-through that they have a safe journey and that it's contactless. So I would say the biggest disruptors we're seeing then off the back of that is the footprint evolution. So when we're talking about delivery collection points, if we're talking about reprioritizing lanes of the drive-through, and even if we're talking about then the role that we can look at in terms of the geofencing and beacons and that type of piece, because when I say geofencing, it's about figuring out and targeting your consumers and your customers before they reach your venue, and that you have them at different kind of caption moments throughout their journey towards your venue. And that disruption, and what that offers in terms of a disruption, is it gives you, the restaurant and the owner operator or the franchisee, so much more intel around what to expect a customer, what the end customer expects. So that disruption then is dramatically changing the menu. It's starting dramatically changing the kitchen work. It's dramatically changing how you market to a customer, because if they have ordered online, or if they've ordered through a mobile app or whatever it may be, and you have geo-fenced them or identified them before they arrive, then their transaction and their interaction with your brand is so much shorter than what you were used to.
Right. That's very intriguing. So what is really changing about the way customers interact with technology? You mentioned immersive experiences a little bit, but can we dig a little deeper on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I guess it's across maybe 4 or 5 different things. So let's start with the obvious one again around the safety point of view. So touchscreens and microbial surfaces that we're looking to control the interactions with, that's really seen a change. We're no longer really expecting someone to come up and bash away at a touchscreen or bash away at a keypad, because obviously, different kind of sanitation and hygiene regimes then kick into mind. So what we're starting to see is the role of gesture control. We're starting to see the role of eye control. We're starting to see the role of eye tracking. And then, recently, or I'd say maybe in the last 12 to 18 months, Amazon have launched these IoT stores. So they're using cameras and sensors to predict and basically to monitor the in-store behavior. And all of these type of things culminate in a way where the actual store now, or the restaurant or the venue of choice that you're speaking about, the interactions are changing. And what we've noticed as well is that, from our studies, is 55% of consumers would like to be able to point their phone at any object and receive information about that. So what that means is that the phone now has truly, and obviously we've been following this as a hunch, for many, many years. But as we all now know, the phone now is truly the point of receiving of information. So when you think about that, that changes then how people interact. And when you remove the role of someone doesn't need to be physically driving a vehicle if they're in restaurant or if they're stationary, that mobile device is it's almost obvious for me to say, but I think it's a really important point to reiterate, that when you have the advantages of, let's say, augmented reality, or when you have that screen in someone's hands, that if you can use that screen as a pointing reference, you can actually provide the buyer with so much more information and so much more opportunity as well to increase the value of your sale.
Right. That is very intriguing. So my question is, getting more specifically, how can retailers use these technologies to guide the customer journey?
Yeah. Good question. So I think the first thing to think about is, again, at Coates, we map out our customer journey across 5 moments. So you have your entice, your enter, your engage, your empower, and then your extend. So that covers the life cycle of the customer journey as you move through. And I think the way that retailers can look at technology here is, at the entice moment, how much personalization or how much information gathering can you utilize so that you can make sure that the content, the history, or any preferences can boost engagement and satisfaction. Then as you move into the enter and into the engage, so this is really around the decision making into the purchase moment. It's really about making it as simple as possible, less friction, more stickiness, but also looking at ways where you can kind of take outside influences to make the purchase behavior or the purchase moment more engaging and more insightful. And then as you move then into the extend and into the loyalty kind of section of it, it's really about remembering using the buying behavior, using the experiences that and making the experience on the next arrival as seamless as possible. So I can give you kind of an example of that. Whereas if you used some sort of personalization or user ID for a return customer in your restaurant or a return customer in your store, once you identify that person, then potentially what you can start to use is you can use data or facial recognition or whatever it may be around shelf talkers or pricing, or maybe it's members only pricing type of thing. So you can actually ping the person so that on arrival, you know what their search history is, you know what their past history is in terms of interaction with your brand, that on arrival, they could potentially see a new price point or a price point that's specific for them. That then creates a bit of an exciting delight moment for that customer. That customer then goes and purchases that product. And then at the point of purchase, it could be something as simple as, in-baked in your mobile app, or potentially even just having a tap and go point, where you can just simply just pay wave and you can tap your phone or your payment option of choice. And then it's a seamless exit then. And then it's about really taking that interaction then and making sure that you have a follow-on with communication and marketing, so that the comms then that you receive, if it's a retail, let's say a grocery store type of interaction, it's really understanding what's the demographic of that purchase, what was that person purchasing, and what are they more likely to purchase in the future. Whereas if you're in a restaurant, it could be something around, what does that meal tell us? What, if someone bought a single item versus buying a family item, then there's a lot of information there that needs to be gleaned, and really thinking about that and how you market that to the customer. So then the next interaction, it's enhanced, and that's really how technology can play a role.
Interesting. So one of my last questions is, we've talked a lot about these different sorts of technologies, these immersive technologies, these dynamic technologies, these facial recognition and all that. But what role do you see contactless and touchless technology playing?
I think to attack the contactless piece, we probably have to look at it from two kind of areas of focus. I think we now know that customers are, I'd say, there's almost an expectation that the purchasing experience can extend outside of the traditional boundaries of a store. So what I mean by that is that when you enter a forecourt or a car park or a shopping center or a restaurant forecourt in terms of the car park and so forth, that with contactless, you have opportunities to put multiple interaction points into that venue. And if you, again, as we've spoken already, Bradley, about the role of the mobile, if the mobile is key to it, then having contactless as a supporting service, whether it be on a totem or whether it being inbuilt into a kiosk, for example, or whether it be even we've done a product in Australia where we've actually mounted contactless points below below food pickup windows, so that people are moving through the drive-through so that they can physically tap on the external of the building, complete the transaction, and then proceed on their journey. So I think it's really around how can contactless live on and extend the traditional boundaries of a store footprint or a retail footprint. I guess the other piece then is, as we push the boundaries out a little bit further, it's about how can we make redundant spaces, like such as car parks or pedestrian thoroughfares around it, shop fronts and so forth. How can we meet an evolution of, let's say, in-app ordering, or how can we make the experience more comfortable or more hygienic? So there's two pieces there really that contactless will play a role, and they're two things that we're really focusing on at Coates, and I'm really excited to see where it can go, because it removes the heavy lift of technology everywhere, where you can just stand up, isolated or individual items in the footprint.
That gives us a lot of very interesting insights. Thank you so much, Wes. Did you have anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, I just really appreciate having a chat today. And I guess if anyone's interested in this type of stuff, please check out our design blog, a cheeky plug there on our Coates website. But I really appreciate the time, guys.
Excellent. Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Wes.